When life knocks you down harder than ever before, it doesn't ask for permission. It comes without warning. One moment you're standing, believing, trying, and the next moment you're on your knees wondering how everything collapsed so fast. The plans you trusted fall apart. The people you counted on disappear. The confidence you once had feels distant, almost unrecognizable. And in that moment, the weight feels unbearable, like the world itself is pressing against your chest, daring you to breathe, daring you to continue. This is the moment when doubt becomes loud. Your mind replays every mistake, every failure, every what if. You question your worth. You question your ability. You question whether the dream you carried was ever meant for you. Life doesn't just knock you down physically. It attacks you emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. It tries to convince you that this fall is final, that this setback is permanent, that this pain defines who you are. But listen closely. Being knocked down is not the end of the story. It's the proof that you were brave enough to stand in the first place. Life only hits hard those who dare to move forward, those who risk, those who believe. And when you're down on the ground, stripped of comfort and certainty, something powerful begins to happen. You discover what's real. You discover what matters. You discover the strength that can't be seen when everything is easy. When life knocks you down harder than ever before, it forces a decision. Stay down and surrender, or rise with scars and wisdom. This is where character is forged. This is where resilience is born. Because the same fall that tried to break you can become the moment that builds you. The ground you're lying on can either be your grave or your foundation. So take a breath, gather yourself, feel the pain, but don't live in it. Use it. Let it fuel you. Let it sharpen you. Because the comeback after the hardest fall is always the most powerful. And when you rise, not if, but when, you will rise stronger, wiser, and more unstoppable than ever before. When progress feels slow, it can feel like nothing is happening at all. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and the results you're working for seem just out of reach. You're showing up, you're putting in the effort, you're doing the work when no one is watching, yet the reward doesn't come quickly. In those moments, frustration creeps in quietly. You start to wonder if your effort even matters, if all this pushing forward is making any difference. But slow progress does not mean no progress. Growth is often invisible before it becomes undeniable. Roots grow deep before anything rises above the surface. And while the world measures success by speed, your heart measures it by commitment. Even when your mind is tired of waiting, something inside you refuses to surrender. There's a steady voice that says, keep going. Not loudly, not dramatically, but consistently. This is where true strength reveals itself. Not in the moments of instant victory, but in the long stretches of uncertainty. When progress is slow, discipline must carry you when motivation fades. You learn patience, you learn trust, you learn how to move forward without applause, without reassurance, without guarantees. Every small step, every quiet effort, every day you choose not to quit is shaping you into someone stronger than you were before. Your heart refuses to quit because it knows something your eyes cannot yet see. It understands that purpose is not rushed, that transformation takes time, that every delay is not a denial but a preparation. The struggle you feel is not a sign of weakness. It is evidence that you are stretching beyond who you used to be. So honor the slow days, respect the process, celebrate the unseen victories, because one day the progress that felt invisible will become undeniable. And when that day comes, you'll realize that it wasn't speed that carried you forward. It was the courage to continue when quitting felt easier. When nobody believes in you, the silence can be loud. The rooms feel colder. The encouragement you hope for never comes. Instead of support, you're met with doubt. Instead of belief, you're surrounded by raised eyebrows, shaking heads, and quiet judgment. People question your vision because they can't see it. They measure your potential by your past and your mistakes, not by the future you're fighting for. And every day you're forced to carry the weight of disbelief that isn't even yours. It hurts when the people closest to you don't understand, when your effort goes unnoticed, when your dedication is mistaken for foolishness. You start to feel alone, not because you are weak, but because your dream is personal. And in that loneliness, something remarkable happens. When all external belief disappears, an inner voice begins to speak louder. A voice that doesn't need applause. A voice that doesn't need approval. A voice that simply says, I'm not done. That belief inside you doesn't shout. It whispers. It shows up when you're exhausted. It keeps you moving when the world tells you to stop. It doesn't promise ease. It promises meaning. Even when doubt surrounds you, this inner belief becomes your anchor. It reminds you that history is filled with people who were doubted before they were celebrated, ignored before they were respected, and underestimated before they changed their lives. So let them doubt. Let them misunderstand. Let them count you out. Because belief that survives isolation is unbreakable. When nobody believes in you, yet something inside still does, that is not weakness. That is power. And one day, when your persistence turns into proof, the same silence that once doubted you will stand in awe of how far you've come. When your back is against the wall, there is no room left to hide, no shortcuts, no comfort zones. The stories you once told yourself stop working. The excuses that once sounded reasonable lose their power. Time runs out, options shrink, and reality stands right in front of you, demanding a decision. This is the moment where pretending ends and responsibility begins. With your back against the wall, pressure becomes unavoidable. You feel it in your chest. You feel it in your thoughts. Every mistake, every delay, every missed opportunity comes rushing back at once. And for the first time, you understand something clearly. Nobody is coming to save you. This is your fight, your moment, your move. Excuses don't work anymore because survival doesn't accept explanations. Results don't care how tired you are. Life doesn't pause because things feel unfair. And in that harsh truth, a powerful shift takes place. You either rise to the demand of the moment or you remain stuck in the same cycle. There is no middle ground when the wall is behind you. This is where raw strength is born. When excuses disappear, focus appears. When comfort is gone, discipline takes over. You discover a level of determination you didn't know you had because failure is no longer an option, it's a consequence. And in this pressure, you find clarity. You stop waiting. You stop complaining. You start doing. When your back is against the wall and excuses don't work anymore, you become dangerous, not to others, but to limitations. Because desperation turns into determination, fear turns into fuel, and pressure turns into purpose. And if you push forward from this place, nothing will ever break you the same way again. When pain becomes your greatest teacher, life stops speaking softly. The lessons are no longer gentle reminders. They are carved into experience. Pain strips away illusions. It removes what is unnecessary and exposes what is real. It arrives uninvited, stays longer than expected, and demands your attention whether you're ready or not. And while it hurts deeply, it also tells the truth in a way comfort never could. Pain teaches you who you are when everything is taken away, when strength feels distant and hope feels fragile. You learn how to endure. You learn patience, humility, and resilience, not from books, but from survival. Every setback leaves a mark, but every mark carries a lesson. Pain forces reflection. It slows you down long enough to understand what went wrong, what must change, and what must never be repeated. As a teacher, pain is harsh but honest. It doesn't lie to protect your feelings. It shows you the cost of poor decisions and the value of perseverance. It teaches you boundaries, discipline, and self-respect. Through pain, you learn to listen to your instincts, to your limits, and to the quiet strength inside you that refuses to disappear. When pain becomes your greatest teacher, Growth is no longer optional. You either learn or you repeat the lesson at a higher cost. But those who listen to pain emerge transformed, stronger in spirit, clearer in purpose, wiser in action. Because pain doesn't come to destroy you. It comes to prepare you for the next level of your life. When failure shows you what still needs growth, it changes the way you see defeat. Failure stops being a verdict and becomes a mirror. It reflects back the gaps in preparation, the weaknesses in mindset, and the areas where discipline was missing. It doesn't arrive to humiliate you, it arrives to educate you. And if you're willing to look closely, failure will teach you more in one moment than success ever could. Failure exposes what effort alone couldn't hide. It reveals where patience ran out, where consistency broke, where belief wavered under pressure. It forces honesty, no excuses, no shortcuts, just truth. And that truth, though uncomfortable, is necessary because growth doesn't happen in the dark. It happens when you see clearly what must change. In failure, you learn humility. You learn that potential means nothing without practice, that talent must be sharpened, and that dreams require structure. Failure shows you where you relied on hope instead of preparation, motivation instead of discipline. It highlights the skills that must be developed, the habits that must be rebuilt, and the mindset that must be strengthened. When failure shows you what still needs growth, it becomes a turning point. You stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start asking, what is this trying to teach me? And that shift changes everything. Because once you grow where you once fell short, the same failure that slowed you down becomes the foundation that lifts you higher than before. When fear shows up, it doesn't come quietly. It arrives with questions, doubts, and worst-case scenarios. It reminds you of every past failure, every risk, every possible loss. Fear tightens your chest and clouds your vision. It tells you to stay safe, stay small, stay where you are. And for a moment, it almost convinces you that retreat is the smartest choice. But courage shows up anyway, not because fear disappears, but because something inside you decides that fear will not be in control. Courage doesn't wait for confidence. It doesn't require certainty. It steps forward while the hands are still shaking and the heart is still racing. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move forward despite it. In that moment, a quiet strength takes over. You act even when the outcome is unclear. You speak even when your voice trembles. You try again even when the memory of failure still hurts. Courage pushes you to take the step fear begged you to avoid. And with each step, fear loses a little of it. That's power. When fear shows up, but courage shows up anyway, you rewrite who you are. You stop being ruled by hesitation and start being guided by purpose. You prove to yourself that bravery lives inside action, not comfort. And every time you choose courage, you build momentum until one day, fear no longer defines your limits. You do. When your dream keeps calling you at night, it doesn't let you rest. The world grows quiet, but your mind stays awake. In the silence, when distractions fade and excuses have nowhere to hide, the dream returns. It shows you flashes of what could be, a different life, a stronger version of you, a future that feels unfinished. You try to ignore it, tell yourself it's unrealistic, impractical, too far away, but it keeps coming back because dreams that are meant for you do not disappear. At night, the dream speaks honestly. It reminds you of the promises you made to yourself. It brings back the hunger you tried to bury under responsibility, fear, and routine. While others sleep peacefully, you wrestle with the gap between where you are and where you know you're supposed to be. That restlessness is not weakness. It's a signal. It's proof that you were not created to settle for less than what you're capable of becoming. When your dream keeps calling you at night, it is asking for courage. It's asking for commitment. It's asking whether you will keep delaying your purpose or finally step into it. The dream doesn't demand perfection. It demands action, even a small step, even a slow beginning, because ignoring the dream hurts more than chasing it ever will. So listen to that call. Let it wake you up, not just from sleep, but from doubt, comfort, and fear. Because dreams that follow you into the night are not distractions. They are directions. And the moment you choose to answer that call, your life begins to change. When quitting looks easy, it tempts you with relief. It promises rest, comfort, and an end to the struggle. It tells you that walking away will stop the pain, silence the pressure, and free you from disappointment. Quitting offers immediate peace, but only on the surface. Deep down, you know that ease is temporary, and the regret would last far longer than the effort ever could. Continuing, on the other hand, doesn't feel easy at all. It feels heavy. It feels demanding. It asks more from you when you already feel drained. Yet somehow it feels right. Not because it's comfortable, but because it aligns with who you are becoming. Continuing feels honest. It feels like integrity. It feels like staying true to the promise you made to yourself when no one else was listening. This is the moment where values speak louder than emotions. Your body wants escape, but your spirit wants progress. Continuing means choosing growth over relief, purpose over convenience, long-term fulfillment over short-term comfort. It's the quiet decision to stay in the fight, even when no one would blame you for walking away. When quitting looks easy, but continuing feels right, that is your compass. That feeling is truth. And every time you honor it, you strengthen your character. You build self-respect. You become someone who can be trusted by others, but more importantly, by yourself. Because success doesn't belong to those who choose what's easy. It belongs to those who choose what's right. When rejection sharp ends your hunger instead of killing it, something powerful shifts inside you. What was meant to discourage you begins to fuel you. Every no you hear, every door that closes, every opportunity that slips through your fingers becomes a reminder that you are not finished. Rejection stops feeling personal and starts feeling instructional. It shows you that you're not there yet, but you're close enough to be tested. Rejection hurts. There's no denying that. It bruises the ego and challenges your confidence. But instead of letting it define your limits, you let it refine your focus. You stop seeking approval and start building strength. You stop chasing validation and start chasing excellence. The hunger grows sharper, clearer, more disciplined. It no longer wants attention. It wants results. When rejection sharpens your hunger, it forces you to work harder in silence. You train when others doubt. You prepare when others relax. You improve where rejection exposed weakness. Every setback becomes motivation. Every refusal becomes a reason to grow. You no longer ask, why was I rejected? You ask, how do I become undeniable? And that hunger changes you. It gives you patience. It gives you grit. It gives you an edge that cannot be taught. Because the ones who succeed are not always the most accepted. They are the most persistent. When rejection sharpens your hunger, instead of killing it, you become unstoppable. And the same doors that once closed will one day open, not out of sympathy, but out of respect. When discipline replaces motivation, everything changes. Motivation is emotional. It comes and goes with mood, energy, and circumstances. Some days it's strong. Some days it's silent. But discipline doesn't wait to feel inspired. Discipline shows up on the hard days, the boring days, the lonely days. It moves you forward when motivation has already left the room. This shift is a sign of growth. You stop depending on excitement and start relying on commitment. You understand that progress is not built on feelings, but on decisions repeated daily. Discipline creates structure where motivation once ruled chaos. It turns intention into action and effort into habit. You no longer ask yourself if you feel like it. You ask yourself if it needs to be done. When discipline replaces motivation, consistency becomes your strength. You work when you're tired. You practice when results are slow. You stay focused when distractions are loud. Discipline trains your mind to obey your purpose, not your comfort. And over time, what once felt heavy becomes normal. What once required effort becomes part of who you are. This is how real success is built. Quietly, repeatedly, relentlessly. Discipline doesn't promise quick rewards, but it guarantees progress. And one day, you look back and realize that the life you wanted was not created by bursts of motivation. It was built by the discipline you refused to abandon. When sacrifice becomes non-negotiable, you stop pretending that success is free. You realize that every meaningful goal has a price, and that price must be paid in advance. Time, comfort, sleep, convenience, all of it is on the table. You no longer ask what you can keep. You ask what you are willing to give up, because staying the same suddenly feels more expensive than changing. At this stage, priorities become clear. Distractions lose our shine. Excuses lose their power. You understand that balance is a luxury during transformation. Sacrifice is not punishment. It is alignment. It means choosing long-term purpose over short-term pleasure, growth over entertainment, discipline over ease. You start saying no to things that once controlled your attention, not because they are bad, but because they no longer serve where you are going. When sacrifice becomes non-negotiable, commitment deepens. You don't wait for perfect conditions or convenient timing. You move forward despite discomfort. You work while others relax. You invest effort when there is no guarantee of reward. And in doing so, you build something far greater than success. You build character. This is where separation happens. Most people want results without sacrifice. Few are willing to give up today for a better tomorrow. When sacrifice becomes non-negotiable, you step into that rare space. And eventually, the very sacrifices that once felt heavy become the reason your future feels free. When consistency matters more than talent, the illusion of shortcuts disappears. Talent may open a door, but consistency decides who stays in the room. Raw ability can impress, but it fades without daily effort. Consistency, on the other hand, is quiet and unglamorous. It doesn't look powerful in the beginning, yet it builds unstoppable momentum over time. While talent waits for the perfect moment, consistency shows up every single day. This is where many fall behind. Talent often relies on confidence, and confidence fades when results are slow. But consistency does not depend on mood or recognition. It depends on commitment. It is the willingness to repeat at the basics when excitement is gone, to practice when no one is watching, to keep going when progress feels invisible. Consistency turns ordinary effort into extraordinary results. When consistency matters more than talent, discipline becomes the equalizer. Those who stay committed eventually outperform those who rely on natural gifts alone. Skill deepens, focus sharpens, confidence becomes earned, not assumed. Over time, consistency compounds. Small actions repeated daily become massive achievements. This is how real success is built, not by being the most gifted in the room, but by being the most reliable. When consistency matters more than talent, you realize that greatness is not reserved for the lucky. It is claimed by the persistent. And persistence, unlike talent, is always a choice. When your purpose is bigger than your comfort, the way you live begins to change. Comfort wants safety, routine, and predictability. Purpose demands growth, risk, and movement. Comfort asks you to stay where it feels easy. Purpose calls you forward into the unknown. And the moment you realize your purpose matters more than how comfortable you feel, excuses lose their grip on you. This realization is not loud. It is heavy. It means choosing challenge over ease, discipline over convenience, and meaning over pleasure. You begin to understand that comfort can become a cage if you stay in it too long. It keeps you protected, but it also keeps you small. Purpose, on the other hand, stretches you. It asks more of you than you think you have, and then shows you that you had more all along. When your purpose is bigger than your comfort, sacrifice makes sense. Long nights, early morn, ings, and hard decisions stop feeling like punishment and start feeling like preparation. You endure discomfort not because you enjoy it, but because you believe in what it is building. Purpose gives pain direction. It turns struggle into significance. And once you live this way, there is no going back. Comfort may still call, but it no longer controls you, because when your purpose is bigger than your comfort, you stop asking what feels good and start asking what matters. And that question changes everything. When you realize this moment will not define your future, a weight begins to lift. The pressure of the present loosens its grip, and you finally breathe again. Right now may feel overwhelming. The mistake feels heavy. The setback feels personal. The situation feels permanent. But it isn't. This moment is loud, emotional, and intense, yet it is temporary. And understanding that truth changes how you stand up again. In difficult moments, it's easy to believe that what's happening now is who you are. But this moment is not your identity, it is a chapter. It does not erase your potential or cancel your purpose. It is simply a point in time where learning is happening. Growth is forming beneath the surface, even when it feels like everything is falling apart. When you realize this moment will not define your future, you stop making permanent decisions based on temporary pain. You stop labeling yourself by one failure, one loss, one bad day. Instead, you start asking better questions. What can I learn? How can I move forward? Who am I becoming through this? And those questions open the door to change. This realization restores hope. It reminds you that the future is still unwritten and the next move is still yours. You are not stuck. You are transitioning. And when you rise from this moment with clarity and strength, you'll look back and understand this wasn't the end. It was the turning point.